Welcome to Minding My Business. I hope you're having a blessed up day. And if you're not, hopefully today's episode is going to bless you up. This was a show dedicated to celebrating people that have created a lane for themselves and are doing extraordinary things in the world. Let me introduce you to Renata Beokovic.
Correct. That was wonderful.
I practice. She's a Serbian fitness trainer online and in person here in Miami, Sunny Isles, and I don't know where
It's
else,
North
Sunny Isles,
Miami. Hmm.
North Miami, helping women get fit and healthy. And she also helps build out customized nutrition programs. I met you at the 10X event, at Elena Cardone's event, and you're also, I would consider you an entrepreneur because I've been looking at your stories. I see what you're doing. You're into personal growth and development and epigenetics, belief work, reprogramming. And so I thought that was really fascinating. And I was like, I got to get you on the show. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I feel very blessed to be a part of your podcast.
So out of all the careers you could have chosen, you could have done anything. What got you into personal training, nutrition, and choosing the fitness as a career to pursue?
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. Not a lot of people know, but I actually finished business school. I did
Mm.
5 years of college for business, and then I had my master's done in European International Economics and Business. It's nothing to do with sports. But I have been in sports all my life. Um, I used to train professionally dance for 8 years. Then after that, I used to play track and field. Then I did tennis. Then I played golf. Then I was in CrossFit. So all my life, I was in sports. And I actually wanted to pursue the career in sports back in Europe. But my parents told me that there's no money in that. So I had to choose something different. And then I went into business, which is a blessing of its own because now I can apply what I learned in business to what I do now as well in my own business. But I think the love for sports and wellness and fitness actually comes from a very young age when I started actually doing sports. And then I saw the benefits of it and how it makes us better. It makes us healthier. It makes us feel good. It gets our dopamine levels up. And every time I would go and work out, I would feel way better after when I have to come home and then actually study for all my exams. I started coaching people in Europe as well while I was in college. And then I just kind of always knew that this is what I'm supposed to do at the very end. So something that's related to overall wellness and helping women. I developed helping women later on in life. I didn't know exactly what it's going to entail. It ended up being just that, but I just knew that it has to do something with overall health and wellness. So my love for that starts from a very, very young age.
Wow. And I think you missed it. I think actually the fitness industry and the bikini and bodybuilding industry definitely get overlooked, but I've done two shows. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh,
And
wow.
that is the hardest because the thing is when you play sports, because I played 9 years of travel ice hockey, well, you played a lot of sports. When you play sports, you can get away with the food. But when you're competing, you got to have your nutrition dialed in. You got to have like your sleep dialed in. Everything has to be so strategically planned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that's where I felt and your mindset has to be so on point. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I think, and you've done, how many shows have you done? Because I know you did one, you just did one
I
actually.
just did one in like April. I think it was April of this year. And a big part to that too is when we're younger, when like you're in your teens, early 20s, you can really afford to kind of eat whatever you want. And then from the age of like 25 is when I first started noticing a difference. Like, okay, I can't really have a pizza every here and there, you know? And then also after 30, things start changing too. So you have to be more careful. But with these shows, I mean, that's awesome. You've done two shows. I didn't know that. A very small percentage of people in the world are doing bodybuilding and
Mm-hmm.
compete. A very, very small group of people. So that's pretty cool. I've done probably between 5 and 6 shows. I think it's six. I've done Olympia 3 times.
Oh,
And
wow.
I had to qualify for the Olympia every time, right?
Mm.
So I've done probably 3 to 4 smaller shows over the years in order to qualify for the biggest show. So yeah, in April of this year, I actually done a little show. I qualified, but I decided not to compete for the Olympia this year, but probably wait for next one. But
Can
it is
you
hard to sell
talk?
in the,
I want you to hear. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I said, like you said, it's very hard, the food part, because yeah, you can work out and get your workouts in, but if you're not measuring your food, as you know, and tracking everything and repeating it constantly month after month after month,
Mhm.
like you're just not going to get there.
Yeah.
So it's a
So
lot of
I want to talk
dedication.
about, I agree. And like, I want to, so you didn't just do one, you've done, you said six.
Yeah.
So when you're setting these goals, like who did you have, who do you have to become? Like who did you have, what did you have to overcome? And like, who did you have to become? Whatever goal you're setting, whether it being in your business, in your relationships, in your, because I would consider bodybuilding a sport. Like, I don't care what people say, like there's a discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would say that like from this past show to your last show, what did you have to overcome and who did you have to become to like have the mindset to keep going and be relentless to even like completing it?
So I basically just had to like really dial in and focus and kind of reinvent myself
Mm,
and become somebody that I didn't even know that I can become. So basically I would envision this person that I want to become. I'm not there yet, but I envision her. Like,
mm,
how is she walking? How is she talking? How is she looking like? How's her hair looking at? How's her makeup looking at? And then I envision in her body, right? And so I envision these things, and then I find a coach to guide me through all of that so that I have help, right? It's very important to find support and help. Um, and also to have an understanding partner. Thank God I do. um, so basically, just to visualize who you want to become and how that person looks like for you, and then just become a badass. Basically, show up every day for yourself. Um, and one of the biggest fears for me was doubting myself. Like, if I can actually do this, like if I'm capable of really achieving this level. Um, so self-talk, that inner talk, is very important. And I had to have this inner talk with myself every day,
mm,
because it's very hard to stay consistent for a very long period of time and do everything perfectly. And I realized that our internal narrative, so what we say to ourselves, actually drives our ability to make progress in life. So that self-talk really helped me reinvent myself, and also support from that I had from my coach and my other coach, Romina, who is my coach's wife. They were there like every step of the way just to ensure that I'm on track with everything.
I love that you say that. And so like, because that can be applied to all areas of your life, right? It's like you don't have what you want, you're in the pursuit of something, you've been gifted this like vision or this goal, and you protected it, and then every day you're reinventing yourself. And I love that you say that, because I think there's a lot of mainstream where a lot of people are talking right now about identity shifting.
Mm-hmm. So we all talk about growth mindset, right? You hear it all the time, growth mindset, growth mindset. And then when I ask people, what do you think growth mindset is? People don't really have a definition for it. They just think it's like some kind of this, like you're just like in a mindset of always doing good things and always doing better. And I said, okay, but the definition of the growth mindset compared to fixed mindset is this idea that we can become better at things, and
Mm,
that our abilities as humans are not fixed, but they're actually very malleable. And in the core of that growth mindset is this idea of our brain being able to change. And this is called neuroplasticity. So I don't want to deep dive into this episode. We can talk about this stuff maybe in the next one. It's very interesting. But that's growth mindset, right? It's our ability, the idea that we can actually be better at things. So if
mm,
think about that every day, like, wow, like I can actually become better today, like 1% better than I was yesterday at something. And that's something that's going to drive you. That's going to be
mm,
something gonna make you wake up earlier and do whatever you have to do that day. And then you won't see it so much as an obstacle. You're just going to see it as something that's very exciting every day. And it's
I
going to
love
take
that.
supposed to go.
I love it. It's almost like the same concept of, and I love how you explain that so eloquently and simple. That's when you know somebody's a pro, you guys. They could take a complex thing and make it so simply explained. She's a pro, we can already tell. But
Oh,
it's like it's like a muscle, right? So if you're going to the gym and you're strengthening your muscle, you can also strengthen your mindset, is what you're saying.
you're strengthening physically your muscles and you're strengthening your mindset because you are doing something that's very challenging. Okay. And once you confront the challenge, once you overcome the challenge, and then you reward yourself after for that challenge, that's basically resilience. That's how you build mental resilience or mental toughness, right? So the point of this is showing up for yourself every single day because no one else is. Like people you have in your life that love you, of course, they support you, but you have to show up for yourself every day and really dial in the routine and stay focused on it. Focus every day. And then you're going to see what's going to happen in the next few months. A lot of things are going to change for better.
Yeah. You talked about resiliency. Now, what do you do in moments, especially whether it's your business model or like whatever you're in pursuit of, when things aren't going your way or chaos hits or something fell through? Like, how do you still operate and execute and perform and show up for your goals or your daily methods of operation, regardless of the chaos, regardless of the mental turbulence or the mental chatter? Do you have any tools for that?
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that because I actually had something happen to me in the last few weeks, and it was like a little obstacle that I had to overcome. And I'll just be very frank with you. We're not perfect, right? There are times where you know what, if I feel like I'm gonna cry about something, which I do sometimes, I just sit down and I cry. And I'm like, let me just cry it out. I allow myself like 5-10 minutes to feel sorry for myself. And then I'm like, okay, well, now it's time. Like, now you cried. Now it's time to like figure out what's the next step. And what I learned that it's helping me is healthy habits. So healthy habits is something that helps you with your mental resilience and mental toughness and then overcome things. So for me, it's important that I find time in the day for myself only. Nobody else, not my phone, not my friends, not my clients, not wine, just myself. And therefore, there's a reason why I wake up at 5 in the morning because everyone's sleeping and it's time for me. So before I even start anything, I focus on myself and then what makes me happy. And for different people, that can be different kind of things. But this is basically called prepping yourself, right, for the day. So for some people, that can be a workout in the morning. It can be meditation. It can be reading 10 pages of the book. It can be going to the spa, like doing sauna for 30 minutes, writing things down. So I just kind of like take a step back and I forget about like the business side. I just think about what's going to make Renata happy right now. Like, what do I need to do for my soul, my mental health right now to get myself back on track? And then I basically take some time for myself. And sometimes for me, that's getting out of social media for a few days. Like I have been kind of like on and off of it the last like week or two, just because I really needed to reset and reevaluate some things that has to do with my business or my personal life. And then when I feel like I'm back on track, then I go back on it. So basically just like taking a few steps back and really focusing on healthy habits, like maybe cooking more for yourself or actually going for a walk, listening to meditation or listening to a good podcast, reading a good book, going to sleep earlier, don't cut slack on sleep. Sleep is very important. So like little things like that, maybe going to the sauna a little bit and having a good stretch or a good night's sleep. So just mentally resilient people, what I found is that they have healthy habits. And I feel like that's what like really keeps them going.
So speaking of habits, I know we're all so nosy. We want to know. I always love to understand human performance and behavior because we're a human being before we're a role, task, and responsibility. And I love that you're talking about all this. This is amazing and people need to hear it. What does your morning and your night routine look like? Like what are your like non-negotiable staples? Like maybe some things if you have a little extra time, but like what are those staples where you know like if I do these, I can operate and handle anything today. Anything.
So I'm an early riser and I've always been all my life. So for me, a non-negotiable. So every morning, Tanya, when I wake up, the first thing I do, I set myself a standard that's like a non-negotiable standard for me. Because I figured out that that's the only way that we can grow and improve as humans. You gotta set standards. And the reason for that is those standards and they're going to guide you to creating a great routine, and that those routines daily that you do are going to guide you to create certainty. And when you have certainty, you feel like you have control, right? So we live in a world full of uncertainty. So if you can create yourself a routine and certainty in the morning, like you're already winning. Like you're already like halfway there. And now with this new energy, you can go out and about and help other people or do your business or whatever you have to do the rest of the day. So that being said, my non-negotiable standard is to morning routine. Wake up early. I love waking up at 5 a.m. Like that's my time. And the reason why it's very peaceful, it's quiet, everyone's still asleep, and it's me time before I go and see like 11 people in the day. And what I like to do is I get ready for work. So basically I wake up, I like to make myself my AG1, which is like athletic greens with colostrum. That's my drink every morning. And then I make another drink that's like a pre-workout drink. Then I go to the gym. I do a workout, like a 45-minute workout. After that, I take a shower. I make my protein shake. And this is something else we can talk about later on when it comes to like women's health and fitness. And we're supposed to be taking at least 30 grams of protein after our workout for like longevity purposes and health purposes. And then I just kind of like the night before I prep my meals. So I start packing everything for that day because I'm going to have a pretty long day. So I always make sure that, there's water, there's electrolytes. I always have my food with me, so I'm not hungry and so I can perform better. Take a shower, do my morning routine with my skincare. I put some Lululemons on and I'm out of the house. And then I work probably like until 6 p.m. Some days 5 p.m., sometimes 6 p.m. And then when I come back home, I forgot one more thing that's very important. I do a morning prayer every morning. I don't pray myself. I'm not there yet, but I listen to a morning prayer. And sometimes if I'm driving in the car, because on 2 days a week, I go to South Beach to train clients at a private gym. It's like a 25-minute drive. I either listen to a podcast from Andrew Huberman, or I listen to a book, or I listen to a prayer. And most of the times it's like a 5-minute prayer before I tap into a podcast. And it's just like any morning prayer I found on YouTube that I like the voice, the sound of. And I found that really healing for me. Some people like to meditate. I don't have time for all of that in the morning, unfortunately, but I found that prayer really helps. And then I train people all day. And when I come back home, that's where a time when I unwind. I try to cook some dinner every night if I can, take a shower, get my vitamins in, and spend some quality time with my partner because we don't really see each other throughout the whole day. And before bed, I read a book a little bit and I go to sleep. And that's about it. And I really try to be strict with my sleeping routine just because I understand the importance of sleep. And if you really want to work and be efficient on a very high level every day, like you need to be rested. And maybe some people can function on 5 hours of sleep. I cannot. Like I need at least 7 hours of sleep in order to be good for myself and to be good for other people that I'm going to serve that day. So I try not to negotiate with my sleep. I go pretty early, like probably like 9:30 p.m. I'm already in bed. I read a little bit of my book, and I go to bed. And
Wow,
then
that's
we'll
amazing.
start.
I was just gonna ask, I was gonna say like how, everybody talks about morning routine, but how important is that night routine to prepare you for that morning, right?
Very, very important. Try to do as many things as you possibly can the night before, so you don't have to do it in the morning.
Hmm.
But that night routine where, so I'm trying to be like creative at nighttime. Cooking helps me. Cooking makes me like calm down. For some people, it's not the case. I know some people don't like to cook. For me, it just really calms me down. And then also, I never ever skip on my skincare routine. I found that when I do my skincare routine, it really relaxes me. And also, I realized that then I do not binge. Because, you maybe heard that some people, like, throughout the day, they eat good. And then when they come at nighttime, they're just
Hmm.
like kind of eating on chocolates and then eating the things they're not supposed to eat. So before all of that, I figured, okay, if I take a nice shower, it's relaxing, and I do my little skincare, it smells good, I'm actually not as hungry. And I think the reason why is because you really relax yourself and your mind. And you're not in that like state of like panic or like
Hmm.
stress. So that's another thing that allows me to like eat really good at nighttime, is doing the
Hmm.
skincare and my body routine before having actually dinner.
Yeah.
So yeah, very important to just get yourself prepped before bedtime, to get yourself really relaxed, and also to have a good night's sleep.
I love that you say that. I was reading and I started getting in the Bible, and in John, they were talking about spiritual hunger. And like, and that's true because at night, especially high achievers, you're all day long stimulated, right? Like it's like that stimulation, and then it's like, well, now what? And I've noticed like a lot of people either turning to social media, television, like
Mm-hmm.
in getting stimulation in different areas or food. I get the food thing, especially after competing. I was a severe binge eater, like big time. And, seeking out that, you had mentioned that self-soothing, right? That like where can I find my self-soothing that isn't going to be destructive or a liability because it had nothing to do with food.
100%. I mean, post-competition binge is a real thing. That happened to me my first competition, and I easily gained probably like 8 to 10 pounds. Like I went from being 113 on stage or 115 the day of the competition. I went back to like 128 and then 133 in the first month.
Hmm.
So obviously that's not healthy. We need to have a good exit strategy when it comes to competition.
Yeah.
But we are highly stimulated throughout the whole day. I mean, look at where we live. Um, you're in the traffic all the time, you're in the car all the time, you're rushing to appointments, you're rushing for your clients or your business. There's always something going on.
Hmm.
And I'm going to tell you something. One of the benefits of doing an exercise, and especially like harder exercise in the morning. So I'm talking about resistance training. But even if you go for a run, even if you go on an elliptical, it's good too. But one of the benefits of that is that it re-coordinates your autonomic nervous system. It recalibrates basically your autonomic nervous system. So basically, all these stressors that we get throughout that day are actually then minimalized.
Hmm.
Like they don't affect us as much.
Hmm.
So that's like something to really take in, because we have a lot of stressors and triggers
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
day.
well, because I do want, if you can talk a little bit more about that, like, because the show is more geared towards high achievers, entrepreneurs, the ones that are like, sometimes we get attached to that stimulation. And, one of the things about the body, and I love that you're talking all about this, is it's really not about the body. Even with the food aspect, your mind is sharper, you have more mental clarity, like you were just saying, you're regulating your nervous system from that emotional instability versus popping anti-anxiety medication. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of, by taking care of your body, can be preventing and eliminating a lot of those medications.
100%. So what I would say is first thing in the morning, try to do something for yourself. So you can prime yourself, your body, and your mind for the day. So those stressors and triggers are actually minimalized throughout the day. Ideally, you would do resistance training. If not, do a class. If not, do yoga, do meditation, read, write. But I would probably say do some kind of physical activity first thing in the morning, because that definitely helps. And then also at a certain time of the day after 7 p.m., I really try not to use my phone. And the reason why is because of the light and Instagram. People are scrolling on Instagram and wasting an hour or two of their nighttime. I'm like, why are you doing that? Even lately, I've realized, and I had this conversation with Ryan, we would watch a show, like one episode before bedtime, and I have a bad sleep, or I'm extremely sensitive to it and it triggers me.
Mm.
And also I have this like crazy like negative feelings and negative emotions. I'm like, what am I doing to myself? And then when I used to read every night and not be on my phone or not be like on the TV, I felt like in Zen, constantly calm, collected, like I'm, peaceful. I'm ready to go to bed and I feel amazing.
Mm.
So if you could just eliminate like not being on your phone at nighttime, that would be great. Like allow yourself some time, maybe while you're cooking dinner, go through social media if you really want to check something out. And then at certain time, maybe like 8, 9 p.m., just like the store's closed. Like don't go on social media anymore. Like there's
Mm.
really nothing you can see or learn at this point. Just take a book, read a book a little bit, and you're gonna go to sleep and you're gonna have an amazing, relaxing night of sleep.
And this goes back to the beginning too of what you were saying. You're like, when you played sports and you had all these things going on, because right, somebody's like, oh, well, I've got 3 children, or I've got this and I've got this, and there's like the constant like fighting for your limitations, fighting for like why you can't do something. But you had
Mhm.
mentioned something earlier when you were talking about all the sports that you had played, and then you'd come home and like how mentally sharp you were and how efficient you were in your studies. um and you are very self-aware, so you're like, hold on, let me go back to what I'm doing before that happens. Like if somebody doesn't have maybe like that strong key sense of like self-awareness because they have so many things going on and they've got like just a lot of responsibilities, what would be like a piece of advice that you would give? Because I know you work with people, you coach people.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I mean, I don't have kids, so it's like easier for me to do these things because I just have like more time of my day just for me.
Hmm.
Um,
I've got my inner child.
yes, I basically same here. That's what we're not right now. But yeah, I do really get that a lot. They're like, but you don't understand. I have a baby on the way and I'm pregnant now and I have like 2 or 3 other kids. Um, I don't know. I guess just again, try to find time for yourself. I think that's
Yeah.
very important because at the end of the day, if you don't, you're not going to be good for yourself and then you're not going to be good for other people around you, period. So
Mm-hmm.
again, set a standard that's non-negotiable. You just have to do it for your own mental health and for your own sanity, and then also to be good for other people as well in your environment. Because it's
I
really
love that
hard,
you say that.
to cut everything. Like, of course, we like TV. Of course, you want to be on social media. Of course, you want to see TikTok. Of course, you want to. But like I said, like I have a timer on my phone. It's like I don't know how it's called, but it basically closes all of my apps at a
Mm-hmm.
certain time of the night. So there's like a time limit.
Mm-hmm.
So by 8:30, everything is like it's not allowing me to get into my apps
You
unless
gotta let us know what that is. I want to know.
it's on. Yeah, I'll have to check. I think it's called time limiting something. And you have it for Instagram, but then you have it for your phone too, if you go on
Uh,
settings. So basically I cannot open anything unless I go back to settings and, like
and
play.
most of the time, we're not gonna do that. It's not
And I'm
worth
not
it.
going to do that. So I just kind of like, okay, this is what it is. I
Yeah.
can't be on my phone anymore. And that's a blessing too. But you really need to want it because I know a lot
Yeah.
of people are very addicted to social media platforms. So I would just like say something like that. Just put a time limit if you don't
Have
trust
you
your.
ever, you don't trust yourself. I know, yeah, you gotta discipline, right? Discipline equals freedom.
100.
Um, have you, speaking of discipline, I know with sports, you have to have a structure and there's a discipline and it teaches you a lot of skill sets. So is this something that you've always had? And like once you stopped playing sports, like how did you carry that discipline into your business and into your life as an adult?
Yeah. So I think I had it always. When I say always, I meant like through my childhood because of my mom. My
Mm,
my mom's a doctor. She's
mm,
very structured. She's very, very disciplined. Like she's the only one in her family that actually is highly educated like that. Like she's the only doctor. And she comes from a very poor family. So you can just imagine how hard it was for her to get into med school, get on a scholarship for all these years and become who she became. So for her, it was all about academics and sports in the household. So she was really strict about these things. And like you don't want to mess with a Serbian mom. Like they can be very scary, like very scary. So my mom just like made sure that all my homework was done always, that I don't miss any classes, that I don't miss my tutors, that I don't miss my private lessons. Like I had a structure since like day one of school,
mm,
which I really, it's not like I really loved it. Like there were obviously times when I really struggled with it, but now I come to appreciate it because it's really helping me in my life and my business. That's why it's not so hard for me to wake up at 5, and it's not hard for me to work all day, or to study and learn actually, because you know what? Some days I remember in high school, she would actually sit down with me because I think deep down inside, she's like a teacher and she likes to teach. So she would sit down with me for biology and teach me anatomy and teach me everything. It's also like she really loved it and she's a good teacher. So she installed that discipline in me and
mm,
confidence and being independent. She would always tell me, Renata, no matter what in life, you need to learn how to be independent and like just
mm,
rely on yourself because you just never know what life can bring. So that's something developed for me in a very early age. And that's why it was easier for me later on in life in my own business to be disciplined. It wasn't
mm,
something I really have to like learn again. It just came very naturally for me. And then
mm.
also I saw the benefits of it. The more disciplined we were, the more focused we were, and then we're having more benefits to it.
Yeah, you
So
achieved your goals.
you really do. I always tell people it's not just, but basically we need to focus more. And
Mm,
sometimes, you know, we have social media platforms, we have the phone, we have the laptop, we have TV, there's good shows on TV, and you want to like kind of enjoy, you know, and watch all of that. But I said, if you really have a goal and you have a timeline, what you need to do is focus. And in order to focus, like really, really focus on a topic, you just need to shut everything down. Like
mm,
sometimes not even see your friends.
mm.
And now I don't know how good that is for your mental health. You probably have to socialize a little bit, right? But my point is, you know, not like military, but you really need to focus
Mm.
and be disciplined.
You know, I've been having that conversation a lot about, I think it's unfortunate. The great thing about the time we live in right now with all the social media is that there's so much information at our fingertips. But the
Mhm.
downfall is that we're overstimulated and overwhelmed and have weakened our ability to focus because of all the distractions.
Yes,
And
that's
so that's
correct.
what you're saying.
I just had a client maybe a couple of weeks ago, or like a month ago. She told me, she's like, I'm so like frustrated. She was frustrated because I'm telling her as her coach one thing, which I believe is true because
Mhm.
based on all the scientific proof and studies that I've been doing, um,
And being the byproduct, because it's not like you don't set big goals and achieve them yourself.
yeah, because I've been through it multiple times. I know it works. So I just say, don't listen to 10 sources, okay? Like, listen to me right now. Trust me, I'm trying to set you up for success. But then you go on social media, right? And then you see all these reels and oh, now you're supposed to eat a vegan diet, or now you're supposed to eat a carnivore diet. Oh, now oats are not good, or broccoli's not good, kale's not good. Like so many different combinations and like what's good, what's not. And no wonder you get overstimulated, you get confused You don't even know what's right and what's wrong. Like, are we supposed to know notes? Are we not supposed? Like, I mean, it's crazy, crazy stuff because not everybody on social platforms actually knows what they're talking about. These people are influencers and they're there for the views, and they have not done their research. So they're just like talking about something they maybe heard or maybe they made it up because of the likes and the followers. So anyway, she got really, really frustrated about it. And I said, the reason you're frustrated because there's, like you said, there's just so many different like sources with different kinds of information coming at you. And the one thing that I do to eliminate that is I do my research and I know who I'm supposed to follow and listen to and who I'm not supposed to follow and listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's like a newer influencer, a younger girl, I'm most likely not going to do that. I'm going to go to somebody who has a PhD in neuroscience. I'm going to go to somebody who has PhD in nutrition. And over time, they've shown that they know what they're talking about. And there's obviously scientifically proven studies, humanized trial studies as well, who show, okay, there's proof. Like these are the facts. Okay, not your emotions or what you think about things. So it's very important to do your research and just like not to trust everybody and listen to every single information on social media. It's like the same with like Elena Cardone or Grant Cardone or any of these like big entrepreneurs. You're gonna listen to everybody. If you're gonna do real estate multifamily, you're gonna go for Grant Cardone. You don't have to listen to 10 other people. Like you know exactly where you're supposed to go for certain things. And that's another way maybe not to get overly stimulated.
I think it was maybe one of his books. I'm thinking, I'm like, did I read it in the Yoga Sutra or did I read it in like Grant Cardone's 10X book? I can't remember. But like there was a part here where you're talking about it and it was saying like, when you're in the pursuit of achieving a goal and you're working on here I am and I'm working on getting on the other side. If you don't trust yourself yet, trust yourself enough to know that whoever you bring on as part of your lineup, like your coach or your team, trust that you've made the right decision and follow through with the plan. You can only change your mind once you've achieved the goal or you have enough like of a track record, be like, okay, now it's time to pivot or achieve the goal, or this just really isn't working because I've already given it like 6 months to a year and it's not working.
That's 100% true. I think that we all need help in certain areas in our lives. And just be careful who you pick as your mentor, as your coach. For example, Istvan, I was training with Istvan for years for my competition. I chose him because I saw his track record. I
Track
saw how
record.
many women he trains. I saw how many girls he put on shows. I saw how they look like. So it was a no-brainer. It's like this guy knows what he's doing, So you just have to do your research on people and then choose, and also maybe do a little bit of your research as well. Just, I don't like to rely on people 100%. Why would you think that somebody else would do a better job than you? People want it quick. They want a quick fix. They want quick information, they're a little bit lazy. They don't want to do all the work themselves.
Well, that's where we're what is it? It's like if you give responsibility of your life over to somebody else, then expect to have no control over your own life type thing.
100%.
Yeah, that's even in the Bible. So it's like casting your faith onto others, your fears onto others, and like you're never gonna live your life because somebody else is gonna be controlling and manipulating it.
I love that. I honestly, I need to read the Bible. I didn't read the Bible yet. Can you imagine?
I didn't until this year, but I felt called
Really?
to.
Okay.
I felt called to, and yeah, like I felt a strong calling, and it was like get in the word, and then once I took the step, right? Because first there's an interest or the voice of intuition, and you're obedient to the voice, and you take the
Mhm.
step, and then the people that are there to guide you will show up in your life. And then I started meeting friends, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to start. And somebody just like God delivers the right people in your life. And then intuitively, if you're connected to that intuition and you trust it and you listen to it, then
Mhm.
you allow, people conversations to be teachers directly, indirectly, and allow yourself to be guided.
I love that. And I feel like God sends you the right people at the right time too. Like when you're
Hmm.
ready to receive.
I believe it's not always when we're ready, it's when we're willing. That's what I've
You're
discovered
willing.
from me being really stubborn and rebellious. So I'm like, I'm not going to be willing to receive this. So it's like, okay, I'm going to give you another closed door, another, you're going to face plant, you're going to fall on your butt, you're going to learn this way. And then you ready? You ready to listen? And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm ready to listen. I don't want any more of that. Please, no more."
You sometimes see like the numbers, like for example, I see every day 11 11, like, and I've been seeing this number consistently the past like year and a half, to the point where me and Ryan are joking, should I do a tattoo?
Well, those
It's
are angel numbers. And I
yeah,
do believe that we are guided, whether it being a podcast, a conversation, there's signs all around us all day long. And so when you had mentioned you have that quiet time to connect, you can be more self-aware and receptive to where you're being guided to go. And so if that's your way where you're receptive to know like that's your sign or that's your confirmation or that's your message, then that's how God's going to work through you until you start to see things like differently, or you can hear a stronger voice of intuition. And it's the same thing. Our spirituality is also a muscle. The more that we're connected and show up, the stronger it gets and the more clear we are on guidance. And sometimes when it's a little bit weak, you could pray for like, show me a sign, and be like, oh, you see signs through numbers, or you see signs through like images, or you see signs through podcasts, or you see signs through somebody coming up and having a conversation. I don't
wow,
believe it's one way. I believe
yeah,
there's a lot of ways.
yeah, that's
Mhm.
so interesting. I need to tap more into that.
We can talk later. I don't want it to be
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
well, this is, I think, good for everybody to hear. But yeah, any questions you have in regards to that, like, I've not always been this person, but I mean, that's what inspired the show, is a human being behind like the image that we all see, the role, the task, responsibility, the career. Like, we're a human being before we're anything. And so, like, the level of success you're going to have in your business is really up to the level of success of how well you're taking care of yourself. And with that being said,
Mhm.
how do you know when it's time? Because from what we're hearing today, you've done a lot of things in your life, and you're talking about like finding the right people. And when do you know when like it's time to pivot for you, or it's time to expand, or it's time to grow, or it's time to do another challenge, or set a higher standard or a new goal? Like, is there a way that you know when it's time to pivot?
That's a good question. I think that for me, and probably goes for other people as well, every time I feel I'm getting comfortable,
Mm.
that's when I know it's not good. Like that's when I know that I need to do either something different or I need to push more. Because comfort kills.
Mm.
Like you can allow yourself to be comfortable a little bit, if you need some time off and to relax. But once I get comfortable, I become just a little bit more like unpleasant, or like something's bothering me, like I'm not satisfied, I'm not happy. And I'm like, that's why, because I'm getting too comfortable and getting lazy.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, let's go back and see like what do I need to do? And that's usually when I make a decision to go and compete. Because again, I need to do something that's really challenging. That makes me feel alive. That makes me feel as if I have a purpose.
Mm.
You don't have a purpose. I mean, you kind of choose your own path, right? Um, but like I said, sometimes I feel stagnant. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting a little bit lazy when things are usually going pretty smooth. And I'm like, okay, now it's time to actually spice things up a little bit and challenge myself again. And it might not be a competition this time. Like I told Ryan, I want to challenge myself every year to do something I've never done before. And that's why I even said yes to the podcast. People who know me know that I'm pretty shy. I'm a little bit of an introvert. I can be both, an extrovert and an introvert. I don't believe you're just one. But I'm more of an introvert. I'm more of a homebody. I'm more of like, let me sit down and study, learn, read than actually go interact with people. So for me, this was very challenging, actually, getting on a podcast and
So you're doing amazing. You would never tell.
oh, thank you. So again, just doing something that I couldn't see doing this maybe 2, 3 years ago. Like there was no way, right? But again, the only way to us to progress and be better is if we show up for ourselves and challenge ourselves and actually do something that's really like challenging and really hard. And for me, these competitions were always challenging and hard. But it always made me a better person afterwards. So that's how I know in my business too. I get that like feeling of being bored a little bit, like lazy or too comfortable. And I'm like, okay, it's time to change it up a little bit, spice it up a little bit, make it very uncomfortable for me. That's the sign for me that I'm not growing anymore. So I
So
need to do something different.
a lot of people, I want to talk about that. A lot of people would think like, well, I'm afraid, there's a fear that creeps in. If I do something that requires me to be more selfish, like competing or setting a goal and taking care of myself and taking my body to the next level, which does require a lot more time, that my business is negatively going to get affected. My relationships are negatively going to get affected. And what would you like have you had that fear before? And then what is the way that you mentioned earlier about the self-dialogue? So the first question is, because I got a lot of questions in my head at once. The first question is, when you actually did the damn thing and you did it anyway, regardless of the voices, did it negatively impact your business because you were more selfish? Like, did you see an impact in your business?
I saw a positive impact
Mm.
because it's related to what I do. I was filming everything I was doing. And also, I never let it impact my business. I said to myself, if you're going to do this, you better not lack and slack with my clients. So that was for me also a standard. It was not
So you set
negotiable.
that standard.
It
Okay.
was a standard because I have to produce, I have to serve, first of all. That makes me happy. I need to I have my clients and I'm very loyal. So I cannot say to one client yes and another client no. So I'm committed to them. Then I'm also committed to my business, right? So I'm not going to leave that alone. And I have to produce money, right? So it's something that I just have to do. It's there. But if now I want to compete, I need to work my way around it. So I have to find time where I'm going to do everything for myself. And I did, honestly, if you really want to do something, I believe you're going to make it work no matter what. And I made it work. I mean, you know how it goes. Training session with a coach, and you have your cardio, and you have your sauna, and you have your meal plans. Somehow I did it. I was meal prepping at 9, 10 p.m. Okay. Was it the perfect time? Absolutely not. But again, you make it work. There's no excuses. Okay. So I never let whatever I want to do on a side affect my business. And then second, because it was in a, it's in a wellness fitness industry, the bikini competitions, it actually positively affected my online business and one-on-one business because now everybody saw, oh, look at her, like, she's competing. She transformed her body in 4 months. She looks amazing. I would show up like that to work every day with all my meals. And then that would inspire my clients. Oh, I want to cook. I want a meal plan. I want to look similar or lose body fat or lose body weight. And it almost felt as if like they were doing it together with me, like we're doing it together. And I feel that sense of community really helped my clients too. Like if she can do it, like, and she's coaching us and she can help us get there as well. So for me, it did not affect my business negatively. Was I exhausted? Yes. Very exhausted. But it actually was a positive thing for both me and my business and my clients. So that's another reason I was doing it. I remember right after my competition, I probably get like over 20 DMs of people asking me for online programs. So I had to sit down after my competition and create all these programs for all these people, which
Yeah.
took me days,
Yeah.
weeks.
But because I know that like that's like a common like, and that's just like one example for those of you listening is like she's giving a specific like example of that. But have you noticed like the things that you're most afraid of are really the solutions to like giving you a different experience of what your brain is telling you the opposite is going to happen? Did I ask that like like meaning like, you know, if you think like I can't do this, or if your clients are
Uh-huh.
telling you like I can't do this because it's going to take away, but it
Uh-huh.
really always ends up adding
Yes.
more value.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, listen, it's definitely gonna take away something. It took away a little bit of my time, that my quality time. For example, me and Ryan have dinner together every night, unless we're traveling, and that's our time. That didn't exist. Like, you
You
understand?
didn't
Like,
eat your meal prep food?
oh my gosh, he was ordering his things. You know what I mean? Like whatever he wanted to eat that I can't eat. And but you know, and he said, just because you're struggling doesn't mean I should struggle too. That was his comment.
That
And
was
it,
awesome support. Well, that probably built your mental resiliency.
yeah, listen, he's 100% supportive. He's like, if that's what you want to do,
Yeah.
you go for it. Like he's super supportive, and that's another thing I want to touch on as well. Like support for
Yeah.
your significant other. It's very important. I have that support of Ryan. Like whatever I want to do, he understands. But also he had support from me. So now he actually went to see a property with Grant, and I don't know when he's gonna be home. Probably like 5 or 6 p.m. on a Saturday. But he has my support. He has my blessing. You go and do whatever you need to do. And also vice versa. I have his blessing with my job, my work, my podcast. He was super excited. I'm going to hop on a podcast with you, or whatever that I need to do, regardless, either it's for myself or my business. He's supportive. If competitions is what I want to do, he's supportive. But he saw how it goes, and it can get hard, you know. Um, but I was then okay. I said, you know what, you eat whatever you want to do and what you ever want to eat, and I have to do what I have to do, and that's just what it is. But that importance of course, it gives and takes. It gave me so much, but again, it took away some of my quality time with my partner. So then over the weekends when my friends are inviting me to go out and hang out, I don't. I'm like, I actually want to spend time with my partner because I haven't seen him in a long
Mm-hmm.
time, like 5 days. Like only at nighttime. But I'm like, that's what's important to me. And also recovery, rest, and also the fact that I cannot eat in restaurants anymore. So I'm not
Yeah.
gonna sit there and watch you eat when I can't eat. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, your social life kind of it's not the same. You can't really do things that you did prior to your competition prep, as you know. So there is definitely give or take, but it's very important that if you decide to do that, that your partner is on the same page with you and he supports you. Because I've spoke to some women where the partner wasn't so supportive, and there's a lot of conflict
Yeah.
because they don't understand, why are you doing that? There's
Mm-hmm.
reason to do it. So in those, I didn't have that situation, but in those situations I could just imagine how hard that can be for a woman or a man, or either way.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have a support group. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have to have people who cheer for you. I mean, it makes the process so much better and so much easier when you have actually somebody who believes in you and supports you and understands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I was gonna ask next is like when we're talking about like core values, because a lot of what you're saying, like indirectly, is all about priorities and alignment to like being focused with your goals and your vision. And I love how you're touching on the support aspect and how significant it is whether you're gonna achieve like your own goals and dreams as a person. So what are some of the core values that you have for the people that you really let into your heart and you would consider like your inner circle?
Mm-hmm. Um,
Like those are like non-negotiables. These people have to have these traits. Um, and like in order to really like know my dreams, my goals, like be still even be a part of like my journey when I am going through whatever I'm going through.
well, now that when you ask me that question, I'm just thinking of my inner circle and like what they have in common. And I think that all of my friends who are my inner circle, they're very, first of all, they're very understanding people. They're very supportive. They have a growth mindset. And that's very, very crucial because, as you know, we outgrow some people over like through our life. And I did outgrow some of my friends back home, and I don't speak to them honestly anymore as I used to. So again, growth mindset, striving to become better every day, understanding when you have to take time for yourself or for your business because they are taking time as well and running their businesses. I would say that also, probably being kind, being generous, and not judgmental, probably like empathetic, like they understand. So probably those are like some qualities. They're family people. That's very important too. Very family oriented. And they love the win-win situation, right? Where we're kind of like all in it together, and how can we help each other get better and improve as human beings. So probably like and very loyal. Loyalty is a big one as well. Very loyal, very, very loyal friends. And the fact that we can all just be who we truly are next to each other, that's a big, big blessing. You don't have to pretend, there's no judgment. You just are who you are and you accept her for that. And then if you're struggling with something, they're there to help you, get out of it.
That sounds
Probably I'm
amazing.
missing some other stuff, but these are like the big things for me.
Yeah, like what's important to you when you're really like bringing in like new people or people that are in alignment with your world.
Oh, 100%. Like, I couldn't be friends with somebody who goes out too much, who drinks too much, who parties too much. Where there's no self-development, self-improvement, where they're not like trying to become better or running a business, maybe. Probably not, just because we're not aligned. Like we can be acquaintances, but probably not good friends.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we covered so much today. I'm like, oh my gosh, 33 o'clock. We covered so much today. What would you say, like, for somebody listening, like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on. I'm really big, and I know you are too, on the integration process, right? Like, learning something is only 1% of our change and transformation. The 99% comes in when we're actually integrating and implementing. So, out of everything we covered today, if somebody were to take one thing and apply it to their life to make and see a significant impact, what would that one thing be for them to start with?
I would just say show up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's for me, that's always the biggest one. And that showing up for yourself can be whatever that you are doing right now at this moment. It can be, maybe you have to start going to the gym. Maybe you need to start actually being active. So show up for yourself and actually go to the gym. Or it can be you have to start reading or stop watching TV. So basically I would say just show up for yourself because nobody else will. So you have to be your biggest cheerleader. For me,
Mm-hmm.
that's where it starts, making a decision and sticking to it.
Wow, mic drop.
I mean, there's so many nuggets. Listen, there's so
I
many
know.
that I would
Trust
add to
me.
this.
I know what, listen, we're talking about overstimulation here. Okay. We got to give people one thing, one
Yeah,
thing at a time, one point
one,
of focus.
yes.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you guys for listening in. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. The whole point of this show is to help you elevate your business, your mindset, and your life. Enjoy the show.